Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Again, it's a busy day here today. Now I have Neil Napier coming on. Neil is another one of the speakers at Legends. I met him in Dublin a few months back. He was at a mutual friend of ours event, Decky Mac. And Neil spoke, and I was very, very impressed with the man. So we've asked him to come on to share his insights and his wisdom. So Neil, thanks very much for coming on.
I appreciate that, Anthony. I'm happy to be here.
So why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are and your journey to where you got to today?
Sure. So a lot of people that I talk to now in our market, they say they did this because they wanted to fire their boss or they wanted some kind of lifestyle. For me, it was completely accidental. I mean, I was in a situation back in 2010 where I had to make about, I think it was £8,000 in 6 months to be able to stay in England because I was working there and they had changed their rules and visas, and suddenly now I had to make £8,000 extra in 6 months. So someone recommended that I start doing freelancing online because other than having a regular job, freelancing would be able to pay me enough money. It didn't. I couldn't stay in England after that, so I had to leave the country. But that got me on a path to internet marketing, as they say. So I initially started by doing presentations for this guy in Australia. I would do the presentations he presented and everyone would pat him on the back. Then I started doing copywriting because, I enjoyed writing, so that came easy. But even then, I was creating assets for other people that they would use and make money with. So I realized I think I got an unexpected email, unsolicited email from John Thornhill. And this is again back in 2011-12. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what Warrior Forum was. But his email was about, hey, here's, for $5, I'm going to teach you how to create a product. So I bought it. But just like everyone else, I didn't go through it because it was too overwhelming. And it still got me on a path where I wanted to create my own products because I realized that it's better than being a copywriter. Actually creating your own assets is something that does give you long-term plans where you are really making money with things you did 5 years ago. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
And the current business that you run?
So the current business, we're focused on a software company. So we have a platform called Napier, and what we do is we help people build out funnels, their membership sites, do email marketing, manage affiliates, all from one place. So that's kind of core of what we do. But even after all of that, I realize I'm still a teacher to an extent. Like I love teaching, I love sharing what I know and what works for me. So I do spend a lot of time actually just educating people on how to create a product, how to build funnels, how to write good emails as well. And the platform that we have ties in really well with what we do. So I found that it's good to have different products that you can create, but it's really good to be focused into a few things that you can do exceptionally well.
So you talk about funnels, excuse me, and I know in our business a lot of people talk about funnels, but it may not be something that somebody coming into the business for the first time looking, and a lot of the people we'd have coming in would be first time people in. So will you explain funnel?
Sure. So a funnel is like, imagine when you go to McDonald's. Instead of seeing the entire a la carte menu, McDonald's say that we've got two options. You can pick either one and pick the one that works best for you. Now, of course, it does mean that a lot of people don't pick one of those two options, but really people don't walk into McDonald's if they're not hungry. So imagine someone comes onto your landing page and they want to buy something from you, but they just don't know what is more applicable to them. A funnel gives you a way to take them down a path to make their decision easier and to give them the right kind of option that they would need. So I'll give another example here. Imagine if I was to start a new website where I would list all different 100 products that I was selling. And even though I'll get traffic there, people would be overwhelmed, they'll be confused. I mean, I'm sure you've had that too. You go to a restaurant, you say, I don't know what I want to eat, right? That's the problem. But if the waiter comes to you, says, hey, sir, what do you like eating? And you say, oh, I usually like beef, but I want to try something different today. Then the waiter, the server will give you a couple of options and you're like, that sounds good. So that's exactly what funnels do. Funnels make the process for a prospect easier to turn them into a customer.
That's a very good way of saying it, actually. So, and when you talk about product creation, because I know a lot of people from my own experience get kind of afraid and a bit terrified of the fact that I have to come up with this stuff and I don't know, I'm not an expert, or I don't know we talk about niche because it's second nature to us and they're going like niche. So just give people a small bit of a taste of, how you would see somebody who's coming into the business for the first time creating a product.
Sure. So I'll use another anecdotal evidence in this case. The two friends who are walking through the forest, and suddenly they hear a bear, far away, kind of coming towards them. And they both start running. And the one guy goes to the other, do you think you can outrun the bear? He goes, no, but I can outrun you. And sometimes being an expert is all about knowing more than other people that you are trying to sell to. I mean, you can pick any guy out there, including someone like Russell Brunson. He didn't come up with everything that he knew about funnels or selling by himself. He looked at people like Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, and all those. And even those people looked up to someone else before them. So when it comes to being an expert, it doesn't mean that you have to know more than everyone else out there on the planet. You just have to know more than people that you're trying to educate. I actually have a story where my cousin, he's a language teacher, and now he can fluently teach and speak 12 different languages. And I asked him, I said, how did you go about it? Did you start by learning all the languages yourself? He said, no, I learned languages because I wanted to make money, first doing translation and then teaching. And I said, well, you speak Chinese. How come? It's nowhere near what you initially started with, which was German. He said, well, a student came up to me and said, I'm going to China in a couple of months and I need basic fluency in Chinese. Do you teach that? He said, well, come back to me in a week. So what he did was he went to the Chinese embassy, said, I want to enlist in a course where I can learn Chinese in the next 2 months. They said, sure. So they got him on, and whatever he would learn in week 1, he would teach that to that student in week 2, making his money back immediately. And the student was happy because, he was getting one-on-one attention with the teacher, and the teacher, my cousin, was happy because he was able to make some money in the process as well. So to me, being an expert is not a wholesome thing. It's just about knowing enough so that you can make a positive difference in someone else's life.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie Catch Me If You Can with Frank Gablan. When he was asked, when the actual man himself, which is a fascinating interview on YouTube, was talked about how did he actually, teach the class. He said all they had to do was read the chapter before them. So and it is interesting because our definition of an expert, people think, I suppose because of the medical profession and the legal profession, that you're kind of said, okay, you've got to have 8 years in college and all the rest of it. A lot of guys come out of college with very little experience and a degree. So to be an expert is interesting, just to stay on top. And so to go through a process of creating a product, the mindset, the attitude, start to finish, kind of tripwires, pitfalls, the benefits. That's a very loaded question,
Yeah, it is. I mean, okay, I'll say this. I work a little bit differently to everyone else when it comes to product creation. So a lot of people teach product creation as, research your niche, research your market, your ideal customers, ask for their problems, their pain points, create a product, let's say a training course, and then sell it to them and just continue selling it to them till they buy. I go about it a little bit differently. So what I recommend doing is, I recommend actually, you can talk to people first, that's perfectly fine, but before you actually create something, try and sell it first. My cousin had that success because someone came to him and said, I want to learn Chinese, can you teach me that? And so he did. So if you put yourself in a position that, let's say, you can create a mini sales page, you can show the idea that, this is what you can teach, and if people are interested to buy, they will tell you. I mean, they will actually come and knock on your door and say, hey, I'm trying to buy this, and the buy button doesn't work, what's wrong with it? And that's your cue. So what I teach quite often to my, coaching students is the idea of a validation funnel, whereby they can create a fake funnel to begin with, and when they test it out, if it works really well, then they can go ahead and create the product. So that process works really well, but the most important thing is that there's a lot of information out there. It all comes down to simplifying it. That's what I love to do. I love to take difficult concepts and break them down. For me, a funnel shouldn't be something that you work on for days on end. I create funnels within 2 or 3 hours, and I push them out to test to see if they works. And that's something I like teaching as well.
No, I agree with you 100% because, so many people spend so many time, doing War and Peace and doing it fantastic. And I go back to the old world in retail. It's a bit like, the guy comes in, you're after spending months building this magnificent pink cart. You've got 30 pink carts. 25 people come in and say it's fantastic. It's a pity it's not blue.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think Henry Ford said that as well. He said that if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
It is interesting. And when it comes to product, and the other thing is that you said, which I think is there is a lot of information out there, and people. This is the other argument that I would hear on product creation from people coming into the industry and people starting out a lot is, oh, but sure, you can get that on YouTube, you can get this here, you can get that anywhere. And my answer to that is, yeah, but you could also download music for free, and Apple have been charging a fortune for how many years? I know people are even renting music. It's called Spotify. You know, the kids now rent the music, and just to get rid of the ads, they'll pay. Okay, they have a free option, but they get rid of the ads. And, you know, people want easy access and people want simplicity, so 100% right. So give us a small, without giving away too much, guys, because you've got to turn up.
Sure.
You know, if you're watching this in the group, you know, and you haven't registered on the page, go to the page. If you're on the page watching this video, Neil, give us give me a couple of reasons of what's going to be different about what you're going to show and share.
Sure. So, as I mentioned, my focus is always on simplicity of execution. So one thing that I will be teaching on the session that we'll do is how to execute fast, how to move fast. And then when you do, a lot of people have this problem. They say, okay, but how do I get the traffic? I don't have a list. So I'll give you a couple of very unique ways to drive traffic and build a list at the same time while you are trying out your product idea and even making sales. And I'll show you how to kind of do this where you can actually get done for your product so that you can just push out sales and start making money as soon as you execute. So for me, it's all about simple, fast, and results. That's my goal. That's what I'll be teaching on the session.
Excellent. And remember, failing is a result. And people always think, you know, failing is bad. It's not. It's fantastic feedback. I'm actually smiling at your talk because I did a test funnel last week to my own list, and you know the whole thing. It looks gorgeous. It was great and the rest of it. I just got the message slightly wrong, so I've had to edit the message and then fix it, and then I'm going to fix the message, and then you build it afterwards. 100% agree. Neil, thanks very much for coming on. It's been fantastic. Guys, you know, we were not telling you what day Neil is on. It'll come on the page below you. You will see it as the days come up, and, you know, make sure that you're on for his session, because I've seen Neil speak and he over-delivers by 1,000,000% without a doubt, which I'm delighted to say. So if you want to make any closing comments, Neil?
Sure. The only thing I would say is that learn to find what works for you and keep on executing it. And like I said, if you show up to the session, hopefully you'll find something that absolutely takes you to the next level.
He's too modest. You will definitely walk away with an absolute notepad, because I did when I saw him speak in Dublin, an absolute notepad of fantastic ideas. So guys, thanks very much for watching. Neil, thanks for taking the time out of your really busy schedule, and I know that you have a lot on your plate between personal life and business life at the moment, so that's fantastic. So guys, make sure you check out Neil's session, and we'll talk to you soon. See you.
Cheers.